Metroid Prime was a gigantic step forward for the Metroid series. The idea of a fully 3D Metroid game was certainly a point of contention before it, as people were unsure if it could work. However, Retro showed that it absolutely could when given a bit of creativity. The first-person perspective really makes Prime stand out, and basically every aspect of the game was built around it. From scanning objects, to reading logs, and even simple things like the UI all take great advantage of this first-person view. But if you ask me, the area where it excels the most is in the boss fights. You see these bosses up close and personal, and have to dodge all their attacks while seeing the murderous intent in their eyes. And the best case of this is without a doubt the fight with Meta Ridley. You saw his longtime nemesis at the beginning of the game with his new cybernetics, and you knew you'd have to fight him eventually. So after collecting all the Chozo artifacts and before heading to the final area, he decides to pop in and say hi before you leave. The fights with Ridley in the games prior weren't anything too grandiose. You just shoot him a bunch and hope to win before you lose. However, that is completely untrue here, and all has to do with the perspective. You see everything Samus sees, so not only do all of Meta Ridley's attacks seem larger than life, but you also see firsthand just how much he wants Samus dead. I really like how the first phase has Ridley farther away from you and occasionally diving towards you. That kind of thing would never work in a 2D game, he'd just be off screen for a while. But here, there's the anticipation of it all. You're on your toes at all times, just wondering when he'll strike next. And once you get to the second phase, that anticipation turns into straight up unease. Ridley's doing everything in his power to massacre you, and you not only have to avoid all his attacks, but also strike his weak spot when the time is right. And this is another prime example of how the first-person perspective is used to amplify the experience. You see close-up exactly where you have to shoot, so you connect with Samus directly on how and why to take Ridley down. The Meta Ridley fight is a standout in gaming, and absolutely one of my favorite fights ever, and without the first-person perspective, it probably wouldn't be anything special.